come to the pranayama. Pranayama means prana plus ayam. Prana is bioenergy and ayam is regulation. So pranayama is essentially regulation of bioenergy. Okay. We are breathing in, taking oxygen. We are breathing out, removing carbon dioxide. We have learned it. These are basic things. Okay. Apart from inhaling and exhaling, we are inhaling and there is a split second standstill. Then we are exhaling and there is a split second standstill. So our breathing cycle is into 4. Inhale, inhalatory standstill, exhale, exhalatory standstill. Okay. So we will work on each of these aspects separately in subsequent classes. But in the initial level, we will work on the respiratory muscles of breathing. So what we do here is we are having intercostal muscle, we are having clavicular muscle, and we are having diaphragm muscle. So these 3 set of muscles we will be using when we are doing pranayama practices. As a result, each muscle is worked separately and it collectively helps in improving our lung capacity. Okay? When we do our asana, we start with warm-up, then Surya Namaskar, then asana, concluding with Shavasana, and after that we will be doing pranayama. So what we do after Shavasana is, we are anyway in the supine position. This is my Shavasana. Keep the eyes closed and just fold your legs like this. Okay? Keep your feet together. If you are uncomfortable, you may keep a little gap between the feet. It is okay. One hand near the body and the other hand will be placed on the navel or the belly button. Place it here. Take a deep long breath in and a deep long breath out. We are inhaling, the abdominal muscle will go up, and we are exhaling, it will go inwards. So this is the diaphragm muscle which is in action. This is the sleeping pranayama that we begin our pranayama session with. In your sleeping pranayama, you will change into sitting position. Which sitting position? Ideally Vajrasana. So in Vajrasana what you do is keep your toes together and heels apart like this, and in between the cavity rest your body. So those who are having challenge in the knee, they will avoid doing Vajrasana. So they would rather sit cross-legged position, or they can sit like this in Ardha Padmasana, which everybody can do, right? And those who can still do Padmasana, nothing like that. So these are the postures which you will be using for doing your pranayama practices. The first pranayama will be just inhaling and exhaling for a constant time, that is inhale equal to exhale. Okay, so equal breathing. So what you will do is here, place your palms on your knees, sit tall and not slouch, consciously sit tall and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Full inhalation and full exhalation. So when you are inhaling, don't blow your body up like this. This is not done. Avanams are like a balloon. So if we are inhaling, the balloon is going to get expanded. So let it expand on its own. But consciously blow it out like this. Okay? That's how you will inhale and exhale. And another most important aspect which you will remember throughout every breathing is breathe slow, steady and subtle. 3 important words. When we are breathing slow, not rapid. So it is at a pace, at a definite pace. So maintaining that pace. That will be slow breathing. steady. Steady is at every split second. Your inhalation will be constant. So inhale and exhale constant when you are doing this breathing. Okay? So slow, steady, and when we are doing subtle breathing, this kind of noise when we are inhaling, avoid this noise. So subtle breathing will be completely soundless. It will be like this. When the nose is blocked and you feel while you are breathing there is a sound. If you consciously breathing at these occasions also, close your eyes, concentrate on your nostrils and feel that there will be partially some opening will be available. Maybe your nose is not 100% blocked, maybe 60, 70, 30%, whatever percent block. Focus on what is available and focus on that opening and inhaling. 100% your breathing will be subtle, soundless. Okay? So this is how we do. So first pranayama we covered was this. Now the second pranayama, we will hold our hands here where my rib cage is ending. The last rib is where I keep my little finger and place my other fingers accordingly, and the elbows are pointing out here. And breathe in, feel the expansion, breathe out, feel the contraction. So you don't have to move the arms out like this, just rest it, don't press it, and feel the expansion and feel the contraction. This will be the focus on the lower lung tip. So for we call it as a lower lung tip pranayama. So you understand what is to be done here. Then we will focus on the upper lung. We do not have lower lung or upper lung. We are just, for our convenience, we are calling it as a lower lung tip or upper lung tip pranayama. Okay. So here the thumb will be behind, fingers in the front, and elbows will be pointing out like this. Check that your arms are not dropping like this. They will be horizontally aligned. Just think of the vertical axis again. Think of the horizontal axis again, and you will get your posture right. And ideally, you will always close your eyes when you are doing pranayama. Breathe in and feel the movement only in the upper lung tip region. Sometimes it is difficult to hold the arms like this, but perhaps if you have frozen shoulders, in that case what you do is keep your palms like this and pay attention to this area. Why we are placing our hands so that where the touch is going, our attention is going. That's why we are automatically conscious of those particular regions. So here, or here, the sleeping diaphragm. So this is the first pranayama. Second pranayama, third pranayama, then fourth one was the lying down pranayama, and one more pranayama which most of us have seen on TV or in the garden doing like this. You know this, but this is called Anulom Vilom. It's a traditional pranayama. So what do we do here is, I'm holding it so that you see it clearly. You can choose any finger you want to. The idea is, when you do like this, the movement is still easier and comfortable. Then what you do here, close your right nostril, breathe in from your left nostril. I'm just moving my hand up and down so that you know I'm inhaling and exhaling. But you won't be doing like this when you are doing practice. Inhale from the left. Exhale from the right. Inhale from the right. Exhale from the left. Let's repeat again. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right, exhale left. This is Anulom Vilom. If you can, you could even hold your breath after inhalation. You inhale for 1 count, hold for 2 counts, then exhale, or you can just inhale, exhale. Either way is fine and can be done. We will also be doing Om chanting, and Om chanting will be in the end after completing all the pranayama. So for Om chanting, what we do is, we are already in the pranayama stance. So just again consciously get aligned in case you miss the alignment. Inhale, prepare for yourself, fill in the lungs fully, and then you go so likewise the Om will go. So there will be one duration, double of and double of so it will be 1:2:4 is the ratio in which you will be saying Om chanting. So in the classroom, everybody's lung capacity is not. So depending upon your lung capacity, your Om could be just or longer. So it depends how short or how long you can do. And when we are doing all of us together, everybody's Om may not fall, but at least consciously make an effort to have one sur. Okay? And when we are concluding the Om practice, we do it by saying Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So at that time all of us can be together, and you could probably start if possible together. And generally I have seen everybody does it is able to do. So what is Om doing to us? There is nothing religious about Om chanting, because when it gets adapted in the yoga class, Om is having 3 syllables, U and Ma. They are present in every spoken language on this planet. Okay? What we are by doing U and Ma, the energy flow is directed to certain region in the body. When we are saying it is through the navel. When we are saying U, it is through the heart. And when we are doing Ma is again Ma, but it is humming. It's not Ma. Okay? Then it is in this region. Okay? So the and U part is not really felt by anybody, because it's not very difficult to understand. But humming, just do humming, and you know it is in the head region here, in the upper body motion. Okay? So likewise the energy current is moving upward in the body. So it is for the body energy, or the energy in the cosmos, or the energy all around, which we are absorbing, inviting and getting connected to, and for that we are doing Om chanting. Okay? Yoga text is not a religious text, and it has a universal application. It is not against any religion, it is not for any religion. Okay? So please be clear about it. That's all. Now effects of Om works obviously on the nervous system. Concentration, relaxation are the obvious direct benefits of Om chanting. The physical benefits of Om is when we do Om, it is extended exhalation. There is so much of inward pull to the abdomen. It is activating this navel chakra, which is responsible for digestive system. So Om chanting is helping me in my digestive system. After a deep exhalation, the subsequent breathing in is also better than the previous one. So it is working on the respiratory system as well. So digestion and respiration, if both are working effectively, the cumulative effect will be felt on the circulation. So circulatory system. Here, my vocal cord. So from O to U, we need a definite tension or alteration in the vocal cords here. So initially you may say nahi hoga, a hoga, yeah, and then you don't get to U, you get to O, because you are not able to modulate that kind of tension here. So work on it. It's not a very secret or difficult thing. Just make a conscious effort. Everybody say everybody say Can you feel the change that is occurring? So consciously adapt this change when you are doing. You just consciously work at it and it will happen. If you are doing it just like that by day, then that conscious work will not happen. And by doing this conscious work, working on the vocal cord will prevent stammering. Those who are in the music, who are in singing, or who are in oratory, continuously speaking, using this organ more, Om chanting will really help them. Okay, so that is it.